Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. Welcome to Thoughts and Coffee. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey, and I am the founder and host of the Let's Talk Supply Chain podcast, as well as the Blended podcast, and now co founder of the Blended Pledge, which is our nonprofit doing some amazing work in diversity and inclusion when it comes to the workplace. I feel like I haven't been with you for a couple of weeks, and that's because I've been in Vegas for the last week. I was at the Manifest conference, and it was great to finally see people back in person. And so I'm super excited to be back here with you today. We've got a lot to cover. We've got 5 followers of the month. That's right. We are giving away four Oceans bracelets as well as a mug. And I'm actually just going to lay it out there and let you know who has won. So Eric Bodelson, he has won our mug for the month. And then we're also giving away the four Oceans bracelets. And that's going to be to Audria Allies. It's going to be to Barnard Platties, Alicia Lugosi, and Michael Key. So I'm going to be in touch over the next 24 hours to get your address so that we can send you over your giveaway for the month. I'm super excited because with those four Oceans bracelets, we're going to be able to take out a pound of plastics from the oceans, which we're going to be talking about a little bit more in detail a little bit later on with one of the articles that we're covering today. The other thing that I want to say is congratulations to Hope White. I don't know if you guys saw this, but she had her first show last week, and actually I have it here somewhere. I just need to find it for you. Hold on. Where is it? There it is. There it is. So Hope White had her first show last week, and it was amazing. We had a really great turnout. It's called No Bullshipping with Hope White. So if you missed it, that's okay. She's going to be back the fourth week of February for her No Bullshipping show. All right, what else do we have? We have a brand new episode with Trans Impact, and they are changing the game in logistics tech. So if you missed it, go and check it out. It's episode 244, wherever you listen to the Let's Talk Supply Chain podcast. Obviously, you can see here we've got it on Apple and Spotify and Amazon and Player FM and Google Podcasts. So go and check that out because I had a really great conversation with them, and I actually just met them in person over at the Manifest conference as well. The other thing that I probably should say is Happy Lunar New Year as well, because that is starting today as well. Another thing that I want to mention is that I am going to be hosting a lot of the content that's going to be on the Hive. So the Hive is created by UPS, and it's a digital expo experience. And so you can learn way more about what they're doing for sustainability and so much more at the Hive. And I'm going to be hosting their customer spotlight series as a part of the Hive. So go and check that out. I think that we are going to be releasing those episodes over the next couple of weeks. So super excited. I just recorded some of those on Friday, and they were some really good conversations. So hopefully see you over there. And then finally, we've got our events coming up. So Eric Johnson is hosting a Log Tech Live on Friday. You're not going to want to miss that one because he is talking about the key to California ports. And then we've got a brand new show that's going to happen after Thoughts and Coffee on a Tuesday. It's called First Things First with Mercado. So Rob Garrison is going to be the host, and he's going to be talking all about the first mile, sourcing, procurement, technology, and he's got some amazing guests coming up as well. So I can't wait for that one. And then, of course, we've got No Bullshipping. Coming in hot was last week with Abby Baird. And remember, you can catch all of our shows over on the Let's Talk Supply Chain YouTube channel. We've got them all in playlists for you. So we've got action items with DC Svergola, and we've got the Sustainability Summit coming up with Forkites on the 9th of March. We've got Purpose, Planet, Profit with Topple. That's happening every third Wednesday at noon. And then, of course, we've got TPM and TPM Tech. So I'm going to be live in Long Beach starting February 23rd, because TPM Tech is the 24th and 25th of February. And I'm going to be doing some fun things over there. What am I going to be doing? I'm going to be doing the Woman on the Street interviews at the networking events. I'm also going to be hosting their TPM live, and I've already started talking to some of the panelists for some of the discussions that I have going on stage while I'm going to be there. And they're going to be some pretty fun discussions. So if you can come, make sure to be at TPM, because I would love to see you all, meet you all in person. I met a bunch of you last week, which was really, really great. One last thing, just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Emerge, for sponsoring Thoughts and Coffee. And we're going to put a link to their website so you can check them out as well. All right. Well, without further ado, we're going to bring up our guest for today, and that is Ben. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Doing very well.
Good, 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 good. So why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do? Let's do a bit of an introduction so everybody can get to know you.
Sure. Well, I'm a criminologist interloping in the supply chain. I started a career in policing and private security and transitioned into academics. Had a student come to me around 2018 with an experience of having a package stolen, and that avalanched into quite a research agenda looking at package theft. So I've really focused on that the last few years, and have done quite a bit of research for what it is, when it's occurring, how to prevent it, and a variety of things like that. So I come at these issues with a prevention method and mindset. So trying to figure out how we can stop package theft, primarily in the last mile of delivery, but starting to expand into some cargo theft and some other areas as well.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm super excited for you to be here. I know we've been talking about this for a while, so finally we can get you on the show. I just want to give a shout out to those on my personal LinkedIn. We've got Lisa, Davin, and Joe. Good morning. And look, Tony is even sharing this as well. So thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. We've got a really fun show. I'm going to be showing you some pictures of my trip as well, which I think we're going to do first, and then we'll get to the poll. So just bear with me. I usually only share my screen once, and now I'm going to have to share my screen multiple times. So let's try this. All right. So I put together a bit of a collage of my trip over to Vegas. So as you can see in the top left-hand corner, I got to meet Brian Glick in person. I mean, we've met in person before, but him and I got to spend a little bit more time together. Brian Glick over from chain.io. And then the middle picture at the top. So I took this picture because this guy had a dog in a backpack, which I thought, only in Vegas, right, Ben?
Wow.
And then we've got some pictures of Brian and the clan, and Geodis had a puppy bar. So as you can see, there was dogs at this conference because they had a puppy bar. So it was nice to go over there and just get some cuddles, because I missed my fur babies. And then you've got myself up on stage talking about visibility. And then I also recorded an episode of Let's Talk Supply Chain podcast with Overhaul that's going to come out in a couple of weeks, right on the conference floor. And then obviously bottom left, we've got Trey Griggs, got to meet him in person. We got some folks over at lunch, and then we've got Amanda Prochaska and Stephanie Schrader as well, who I got to meet in person. So that was just a little bit of fun. Have you been to a conference in Vegas, Ben?
I have a couple, but they don't seem to be as much fun as maybe the one you went to.
Well, here's a little bit more. I wanted to show you guys a little bit more about my trip. I was able to go to the Hoover Dam and the Grand Canyon West. And then we've got some pictures of Akshay as well as Ani, who I met from Terminal 49 as well. And then I took a picture of coffee nut M&Ms because that's specifically what Audrey asked me to bring back. So everybody, Audrey is getting her coffee nut M&Ms, so she should be a happy camper in the next couple of days. And then I took a picture of a slider that I bought because this slider was $15, and all I needed was the slice of ham and the slice of turkey from the slider. I was just completely floored by that. I mean, I don't know, $15 for a slider. I kind of had to ask her twice.
Wow.
Which was crazy, crazy. All right. Well, I've got some other stuff that I want to show you. One quickly, I'm going to show you a video of a Dematic. I actually have to press play, I think. A Dematic robot actually putting the golf club or the golf ball on the tee. And then so I teed up to hit this. And I'm such a baseball player and not a golfer that I actually sliced it into the wall. See the wall in the back corner? I actually sliced a hole into that wall. So let me tell you, it was fun had by all. I'm not a huge fan of conferences in Vegas, but it was great to be able to see everybody. They had just over 1,000 people, I think, at that conference, and lots of really great things to see. Lots of great companies that are hopefully going to come on the show as well. So that's a little bit about my trip. I just wanted to share that with you guys. And now we're going to go over to the poll. I have so many tabs open right now. Like you should really see my screen right now. It's kind of crazy. Anyways, here's the poll. AJ, can we take down that banner? Just so we can see the rest of the poll. Awesome. So our poll from last week was, how can your sustainability team best support you with your sustainable procurement program? Now, the reason why we asked this is a friend of the show, Frances Edmonds, she's the head of sustainability for HP Canada. She was really curious to find out just so that they can really be able to work programs for companies and help them with their sustainability strategies. And so she wanted us to ask the community this question. I thought it was really interesting. So 51% said product and supplier ratings. One of the things that she said is that supplier diversity programs is one of the easiest places to start for a sustainability program, as well as packaging. And then 20% of you said probe response, avoid greenwash. 19% said RFX questions and model answers. Ben, any thoughts on this? Any thoughts on companies, and their sustainability strategies and some of the things that they should be thinking about? I know you come from a criminal background, maybe from the parcel space, right? I mean, if we're seeing a lot of theft, especially with the story that we're talking about a little bit later, where everybody's seeing that garbage across LA County around the trains and things like that. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I recently spoke at a conference actually about this, and talked about, designing packages to reduce the likelihood of theft may or may not be exactly what you're looking for for sustainability. So those aren't always, equal things. And so you kind of have to, ask yourself, where is this package going? What's in it? Maybe it's worth having this package protected a little bit better as opposed to some other packages that you could look at a more sustainable, option for. So removing some branding from the outside and a variety of things may or may not fit both those categories, right? So there's things you can do that would fit both sustainability and theft avoidance, but
Mhm.
sometimes they're going to be counterintuitive to each other.
Well, and I think the packaging really makes a difference too, right? I mean, the when we think about the packaging that we're delivering products in, I think that's going to make a difference. Not only maybe does that make a difference for theft because it makes a difference for sustainability, but does it make a difference for theft? Like, should we be thinking about that when we're designing our packaging?
Absolutely. So, if you have the image of whatever it is that you're shipping on the outside of your box, that may be great for someone whose only customer experience is to receive your product, right, through your
Right.
website and then the product at their front door. But that also like broadcast to those who want to steal it, like, hey, come steal this because I know what's inside the box, or maybe I know where it's from. And so there's a trade-off when you broadcast what's in the box, or at least the company. But at the same time, I understand that a business wants that positive customer experience with the unpackaging and all those types of things. So again, it's kind of a
It's
balance
true.
for what you're shipping.
It's true because I remember when I was in logistics, and we were delivering or electronics were being moved by air or ocean freight, they would wrap it in black plastic. Does that even like is that even really a thing? Like because I feel like you could just tear the plastic and it kind of a giveaway, right? That it's high value. And so is that really a thing? Is that something that people should be looking at, or should they be looking at, tracking devices now with all of the technology that's coming out?
Well, really, opportunity is really key. So if they don't see it or know what it is, especially if it's at a distance, they're not going to probably walk up and take a look at it.
Mm.
One of the things we're finding is that the labels for batteries that have to be by law on packages are a huge attractor because then they know there's something electronic inside. So like we've
Ah.
trying to work with some delivery companies to say, take that sticker and place it down on the porch so you can't see it from the sidewalk.
Oh.
And then bright colors are going to help packages stand out even more on the porch. So, the colors, the subduedness, all those different mechanisms make a difference for whether a package is attractive and brings someone to your porch.
Absolutely. So Francis Edmonds is with us this morning. Thanks for highlighting the survey. We are excited to get as many comments as possible. We hope to get sustainability teams primed to support all the great supply chain pros ramping up on sustainable procurement programs. Amazing. She is doing some amazing work over at HP Canada. So AJ, can you post the link to that poll just so we can get a few more people to weigh in before it closes and we can get the information over to Francis? Joe over on my personal LinkedIn says that what happens in Vegas stays on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, and if you don't, it's Be Victorious. Follow me on Instagram. That's really where you have been able to see a lot of what happened in Vegas because I post most of it on my stories. I was also able, we had a wrap party for the conference, and that included Ludacris. So we had a Ludacris concert at the end of that conference as well. All right. So we are at 10:15, which means that we are getting ready for our first article. So let's do this. So the first article talks about Samsung collaborating with Patagonia to keep microplastics out of our oceans. Now, I would highly recommend to go and check out this article for a couple of reasons. I didn't know much about microplastics, and actually, it says that on our ocean floor, there's 14 million tons of microplastics, and 80% of our tap water actually includes microplastics. And every person ingests one credit card of plastic a week. Guys, if that's not going to change our habits, I don't know what is going to change our habits. But obviously, microplastics are a big thing. So what did you think when you read through this article? And I'm going to talk a little bit about what Samsung's doing to really help counterbalance that in a minute.
Yeah, I was really shocked. I knew I kind of aware of this space, but as far as some of the details, like the credit card worth of plastic in a week, it was certainly surprising. And it seems like one of those daunting challenges you almost don't know really where to address. So that's,
Right.
Certainly concerning, but maybe this is helpful to get people motivated to look at it.
Absolutely. I mean, plastics are a big challenge. So, what they said was microplastics are actually released when we wash synthetic textiles. So, I think when we go to think about the clothing that we're buying, really taking a look at and thinking more about how they are being made and what actual components they're being made of. And Samsung is talking about how they're designing new washing machines to actually combat microplastics. And that's why they came out with this about 2 weeks ago. One of the things is an eco bubble, because apparently, with their eco bubble program, and if you have more bubbles in your washing machine, it actually eliminates microplastics. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what I read in the article. And then the last thing is that they're measuring the load size. So their washing machines are now measuring the load size so that they can optimize how much water is being used. So we're not overusing water when we're actually washing our clothing. So really, really interesting article, guys. I would suggest that you go and check that out. But I want to spend a little bit more time on the next one. So the next one that we're talking about is around the rail theft. So if you guys haven't heard of this, obviously over the last couple of weeks, images like this one have really come out about parcel theft around trains, specifically in Los Angeles. And so we've got an article here from railfreight.com. And then we've also got a letter, which I'm going to show you afterwards, to the governor of LA, because this is becoming a huge, huge problem. Rail thefts have increased by 160%. And in some months, I think it was October 2021, it increased by like 343%. So not only is this a challenge from a theft point of view, but look at all that garbage, from a waste standpoint, from a sustainability standpoint. And it's a safety issue for anybody that's working with Union Pacific as well. So tell me about this, Ben. I mean, this is your world. So talk to me about parcel theft. Is this something new? Is it just something we're kind of hearing about now? What do we need to do?
Well, I don't think any form of theft is really new. I mean, people have been stealing packages and
Sure.
hijacking trains and things for, as long as they've been around.
Yeah.
I would say some of the techniques and some of the things that we're seeing here are unique just to this time period. So this is a tremendous growth in theft of this nature and of this scale, which is really large. So this is not just like little one-off incidents. These are, I think they said about 90 cars a day are getting broken into, which is just a huge number when you think about it.
Yep.
And so there has to be some level of organization that's involved with this. No doubt many people get an opportunity theft where they already find a car that's open, or they get taken along with a group of people to go somewhere. But some of the videos that I've seen in this and things that I've read, this looks like it's highly organized, highly structured, which really brings in a lot of questions about what's going on. And if the officials aren't really prosecuting, which is one of the concerns that the company has, this has a lot of negative repercussions. And when you start, you know, taking large swipes out of the supply chain like this, the downstream effects are huge. It's not just individuals not getting something that they need, but it, can really have deep repercussions. And a lot of what they talked about in this article and others is that what they don't want, they'll just throw out to the side. And again, so maybe it's not stolen, but then you have products that are damaged and the
Hmm.
expense to recover them. So there's a lot of issues with this.
Yeah, they were talking about in the article $5 million in claims a year. I mean, how does this compare to like parcel pirates, like the door pirates? Like, are we seeing more theft in the rail before it even gets in the hands of the last mile delivery and then delivered to the door?
That is a great question. I really wish I could answer for you. Unfortunately, most industries are not really releasing numbers, at
Mhm.
least not in specific ways that we can compare. So we don't really know how many packages are stolen at the front porch, unfortunately. And we're only getting, some limited information based on some police reports and, a page or two that's released by an organization saying this is how many they're having. So we really can't compare the two. But there's no doubt that, a single package at a house probably has a very limited value as opposed to taking an entire train car worth of
Sure.
goods and running off with it. So even just a single event of cargo theft from a rail yard is going to be much more expensive than a single event of a package theft at home. But
Yeah.
when you compare the frequency, it's hard to say which one's the winner as far as worst damage.
Absolutely. And Stephanie has a good question. How do they secure doors on rail cars? I don't know if either you or I have that answer because we're not necessarily experts in that area, but it does bring me to a question of how do we avoid this? Like, I know you said with batteries, making sure that when you're delivering a parcel that that is not showing, but how do we avoid some of these parcel pirates, either from a rail standpoint or even from, our front doors?
Yeah, this is really a tricky question, and one I keep trying to tell people is multifaceted. So it's not just making a law, it's not just enforcement, it's not just company policies, it's a variety of things. So, when you look at a rail yard, that should be an area that's somewhat secured to keep people in and out of.
Mhm.
So, being alert when people are there, using electronic sensing and things like that. Maybe some better securing of these. Cargo facilities, but at the same token, it's not too hard to take a battery operated sawzall or something and take about any lock you have, or even the hinges on a door, clean off in a matter of moments. So to some degree, you can up armor some of these containers, but it could be very difficult and costly to do, and you have to make sure you're spending your resources wisely there. Obviously, enforcement of laws super important as well to make sure we're actually prosecuting those who are doing it, and especially if they're repeating this over and over again.
Mhm.
And there's a lot more simpler techniques that an individual can use at their home if we transition to that. Again, opportunity is the key here. So if you have a package at your house, removing it from the front porch, hiding it behind a column or a plant or a lockable storage container, anything you can do like that to remove it out of sight, out of mind is very helpful from a home perspective.
Yeah, good advice. Jeffrey says we use secure serialized locks on rail cars. These locks are intended to be cut open. So that should answer Stephanie's question. And one of the things that Union Pacific says that they're putting in is drone surveillance, but they're also asking for police presence. So this was a letter. I don't know how to send it to you guys. I don't have the link to send it to you, but this was a letter from Union Pacific to I think it was the governor. Is it the governor of Los Angeles County? I don't know. I'm
It's
from
the district
Canada.
attorney.
Okay, so I'm from Canada, so I've probably got that wrong. Let's just put that out there. But basically, this letter is really going through all of the challenges that we've just talked about. 90 containers compromised a day. There's been 100 arrests, but everybody is actually getting out of those arrests within 24 hours. They're back on the streets. And so it's really creating sort of that boomerang effect because you arrest them and then they're back on the streets and they're kind of doing the same things. One of the really, really urgent things that I saw on this letter was that they're looking to avoid LA County completely. And so they don't want to have to do that. But in this letter, they're actually saying they might avoid it altogether. Is that the answer, Ben? I mean, I don't know.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if they can do that given I mean, railway lines are kind of structured and difficult to move. So, if that's something that's possible for a company to do, maybe that'll raise the attention of those who need to be, looking at this more seriously.
Mhm.
Again, when you look at crimes, anytime you can change the opportunity, then you're going to change the nature of crime. So if you have these containers that you can move out of the county in an area where it's really bad,
Mhm.
perhaps it will probably help. They seem to say this is very specific to LA County, at least in their rail system. I've not done extensive studies to see if this is occurring definitely at this level, but even similarly in other locations. And so sometimes it does happen where there's just a specific group of people in a specific location that are going to be hard hit. And if you can move the opportunity out of that area, it can have a significant impact on theft.
That might be a report that the Union Pacific might want from you. So you might want to give them a call and say, "Hey, I'll do your research for you."
Absolutely.
Anyway, so I just want to give a shout out Aditola over on my personal LinkedIn. She has joined us as well. And now it's time for our last article because I'm sure somebody's going to give me a 4 or 5 minute warning very, very quickly. So this last article is about women in trucking. And so we've been talking about the shortage, right? We've been talking about the shortage of drivers. And actually, in this article, it says something like the American Trucking Association is saying that more than 1.2 million drivers are going to be needed over the next decade. And we just don't have anybody, or we don't have that many people in the pipeline. And so this article really puts a highlight on women in trucking. Ellen Voix, Women in Trucking, she's been on my Woman in Supply Chain series. She says that technology is helping to make it accessible, but still we're only at 9% women. Although one of the women quoted in this article says that when she was in driving classes, there was six out of 10 people were women. So that's a really, really positive stat and something that I think we definitely need. So, what did you think when you read through this article, Ben?
Well, I thought this was really great. And this is a tremendous opportunity because some of these positions are incredibly well paying and good careers. So I'm glad to see that there are a variety of people looking at these. This is obviously, as the article mentioned, kind of been a male dominated industry for many years. And there's probably a couple of reasons for that. And many of those reasons have really disappeared. The
Mhm.
strength necessary to drive an 18 wheeler isn't like it used to be
No.
maybe 30, 40 years ago.
Hmm.
In addition, we talked about some security issues that might be a concern. And while those are always an ever-present issue, whether you're driving a truck or you're doing some type of gig economy where you're delivering goods or people to a location. A lot of the technology has really enhanced the security that we have in this area. So, if you think back even just 5, 10 years ago, if you took a taxi, you'd had no idea who was in the taxi with you. And now, theoretically, if you're doing Uber or Lyft or something like that, well, kind of at least some level of
Hmm.
assurance of who's in the vehicle with you. And reducing that anonymity really helps to reduce the opportunity for crime, and can help reassure people who are maybe a little more fearful of some of these crimes. It doesn't eliminate crime in any way,
Hmm.
but maybe some of these techniques, technology, and things that we have coming up are reducing some of the barriers and allowing others to enter a field that traditionally hasn't had a lot of women represented.
Yeah, I do think that we need to put some pressure on the government to make sure that the truck stops are safe for women. That I know that's something that Ellen, excuse me, Ellen and her team at Women in Trucking have been lobbying for years. But the other opportunity here is that this article did focus on Vanita, who is a 50-year-old, and she just started her trucking career. And so there's a lot of people that are seeing the freedom in driving a truck and being able to see various different places, go to see friends and family. And so there's a lot of upside to it as well. And so I encourage anybody who's taking a look at getting into this industry that obviously, driving a truck could be a really, really good way of even changing careers, right? Mid career, you could change your career. One of the other stats that it says males are 20% more likely to be in a crash because women are safer. and more risk averse. Just something to think about. And I think also what the vibe that I got from this article too is that women they want to be part of making an impact, and they see the trucking industry as making an impact in people's lives in a variety of different ways. Either that's from product or maybe from sustainability if they're driving for somebody that has that top of mind and can reduce carbon footprint or things like that. So I think there's a lot of things to consider when it comes to looking at a career of driving a truck. Anyways, so we are at the end. I told you, Ben, this is the fastest 30 minutes in supply chain, and we're over by like 20 seconds. I just want to thank everybody who joined us here across social media, over on my personal LinkedIn as well. And next week, Audrey will be back with me on Thoughts and Coffee, and I hope everybody has a great week. Ben, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.